Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to read you this article, and it's so amusing. You can't make this up. When they lose to Trump, it's going to be marketed or spun as some kind of victory for Democrats in some way. They can't admit defeat. They'll never admit defeat on anything because they have media enabling every absurd act that they engage in. But here, Pelosi warns McConnell Senate Republicans they will pay a price if they engage in a cover-up. What cover-up? There is no evidence. They don't have direct evidence of anything. President Zelensky stated there was no quid pro quo. They have no evidence of anything. They have circumstantial evidence, which if you had circumstantial evidence, that would have been enough to indict Madam Secretary. You had circumstantial. You also had direct evidence, but let's not go there. Certain people like John Huber or James Comey never investigated. Comey never investigated how Clinton transferred classified data from intranets within the U.S. government, joint worldwide intelligence communication systems, intranets, onto servers outside of the United States government running on Microsoft Exchange software. With the whole point in owning a private server is to hide communication. And then you delete 30,000 emails. But here, let's just read this. As House Speaker Nancy Pelosi prepares to consult with fellow Democrats about sending the 2 articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump to the Senate, she warned Majority Leader Mitch McConnell that an attempt to dismiss the case without a trial or to bar witnesses would be perceived as a cover-up. Well, who cares how it would be perceived? It's always going to be perceived by media in the vantage point that Democrats want. Okay? There aren't many people rolling into CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other places with MAGA hats or talking about voting for President Trump at lunch. These are activists. They've become activists. They're not journalists. But anyway, last month, the House impeached Trump on charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The charge is Trump has denied any wrongdoing, and Republicans in the Senate have called the impeachment effort a partisan hit job. Well, it is, but if you look, this is really interesting. It's really, really, really interesting that the Washington Post actually admits that there was no crime. However you feel about Democrats not directly accusing Trump of a crime in the articles of impeachment, and I've suggested it might be optimal from a strategic standpoint. This is the Washington Post. Rudy Giuliani. This is an article by Aaron Blake. Rudy Giuliani's amazingly bad column asking Supreme Court to strike down Trump's impeachment. So it's an actual admission here. However you feel about Democrats not directly accusing Trump of a crime in the articles of impeachment. And then this is the same gentleman, journalist, who wrote that it's actually good that he wasn't accused of a crime. Don't you understand? It's actually a good thing. No crime, no accusation of a crime. And that's actually a great thing. Why? Because you can impeach someone without them having committed a crime. The only problem is, next time there is a Democrat, which will be a while from now in the White House, it ain't going to be in 2024. But next time there's a Democrat in office, they can impeach that person without having committed a crime. So what goes around comes around. Democrats did this to themselves also when they pretended that it was a good thing to vote for Supreme Court justices without a supermajority. So Harry Reid changed the vote count from 60 supermajority to just a simple majority of over 50 in the Senate. Then President Trump got two Supreme Court picks that were far more conservative than they would have been had Harry Reid and Democrats not changed the vote threshold from a supermajority to a simple majority. But here, I mean, you could look, Associated Press, quote, yet the impeachment witnesses' accounts left one prominent hole that offered a lifeline for Trump and his GOP allies. None of the witnesses could personally attest that Trump directly conditioned the release of the $400 million in military aid on a Ukrainian announcement of investigations into former Vice President Joe Biden and Democratic National Committee. That's another acknowledgement. Not only is there no crime, but there's no direct evidence. There's no direct evidence that he even committed what they accuse him of committing. And this is 538, Democrats' case against Trump. On the other hand, doesn't have one key piece of evidence directly linking Trump to a quid pro quo. Then you get, you get this article from Jennifer Rubin, like, oh, Clinton's been exonerated twice. Trump was never exonerated. Well, yes, he was. Yes, he was. Mueller didn't indict Trump not because of a Justice Department policy. The policy is not law. And why did they even engage in a special counsel for 3 years if the whole point was not to indict Trump? And they were even talking about indicting Trump on 18 U.S. Code 371, which is exactly what I talk about in the Federalist regarding Comey and McCabe. But you have liberals and journalists on the left saying, "Oh, Jennifer Rubin's a never Trumper," but I don't even know, claims to be conservative. Whatever, maybe she is. She's just a never Trumper. She says, "Well, Clinton has been the most exonerated person in history." No. Clinton has had allies. This is why we know Clinton's running, and she will be the nominee. Clinton will be the nominee because she still has allies. Whether it's James Comey or Jeff Sessions, the establishment always sides with Clinton. The establishment does not side with Trump. They fabricated the absurd notion that he worked with Russia using a dossier she purchased. And the intelligence community wasn't even not certain of anything. They're moderately to highly confident. With Clinton, it's, James Comey said no reasonable prosecutor would indict. Well, where was the special counsel for the Clinton Foundation probe? John Huber he never interviewed anyone under oath. Then you get the rebuttal from people. I swear to God, I don't, they're like, oh, the Titanic didn't sink. It became a submarine. Don't you understand? It was always a submarine. So they're like, well, Huber didn't leak. You just wait. No, not that he didn't leak. He didn't do anything. We would have known as public record knowledge. For a congressional subpoena or for a subpoena from the Justice Department, it's public record knowledge because you could take it to court and fight it. And so he didn't subpoena anyone. But anyway, let's continue with this nonsense. This is kind of hilarious. Okay? Because, Pelosi's like, oh, well, you just wait. You're gonna pay dearly for this. Pelosi has delayed sending the articles of impeachment to the Senate in an attempt to get McConnell, who has said he is not impartial. Of course, he's not impartial, and wants Trump to be acquitted as quick as possible to agree to what she considers a fair format for the trial. Who cares what Pelosi considers to be fair? It's completely irrelevant. She was very partisan. So was Schiff and Nadler, and everyone involved with this was very partisan. Even the 4 scholars that they picked, one of whom said he's not even impeached if the articles don't get to the Senate. McConnell has rejected Pelosi's offer to negotiate with him. This is hilarious. Instead of simply saying Pelosi's lost this round, they're like, McConnell has rejected the offer to negotiate. Well, he doesn't need to negotiate. Declaring on the Senate floor last week that there will, quote, be no haggling with the House over Senate procedure. On Thursday, McConnell signed onto a resolution introduced by Senator Josh Hawley to dismiss the articles for failure to prosecute if they were not sent to the Senate within 25 days of their adoption by the House, which took place December 18th. So that is coming up. That's actually a great thing. That's coming up, ladies and gentlemen. So we're looking at, let's see, about 13. So within 3 or 4 days, if she doesn't send them, there's a failure to prosecute. So it's actually McConnell who has pressured Pelosi, not the other way around. Dismissing is a cover-up. No, it's not, because there's no crime. And there's no direct evidence that Trump even committed what they accused him of doing. So there you go. The biggest concession Pelosi wanted from McConnell was to allow witnesses to testify at the trial. They haven't even sent a subpoena. The House never sent a subpoena to John Bolton. McConnell has refused to commit to allowing witnesses, saying the Senate will not cede our authority to try impeachment. Citing polls that showed 70% of Americans favor additional witness testimony, what about the polls in swing states and independents that say they don't want the president removed? I mean, you can always find a poll that will suit, whatever political objective you have. Pelosi said McConnell and Senate Republicans. There's a poll saying most Americans want Medicare for all. Guess what? There's another poll that's saying that when they find out that taxes would go up, they don't want Medicare for all. So there's a poll for everything. Bolton said he would be willing to testify if subpoenaed by Senate, after previously saying he would do so only if ordered by a court. Citing House Democrats' handling of impeachment inquiry have questioned Pelosi's decision not to subpoena Bolton. Pelosi has said that the process was too urgent to wait for the courts. Yeah, right. No, they just want to harm. They want to make sure that Bernie is stuck in Washington, which was actually brilliant in an insidious, nefarious way by Pelosi and Democrats. Did I tell you that Clinton's going to be nominee? It's Sunday morning. I'd like to talk about some more pleasant subjects that Pelosi said. Every knock from him is a boost. Everything he says about somebody else is a projection of his own weakness. No, that's actually the way Democrats act. He definitely means, it's not a projection. He definitely means what he says. You guys don't. Democrats don't. They're like, oh, Medicare for all, and then they don't pass anything. No Medicare for all bill, no Green New Deal legislation, no abolish ICE, no student debt, no nothing. And they own the House. So they talk a big game, but at the end of the day, they're liars. They just lie all the time. And they say that Trump lies. Nothing compared to Clinton. Nothing. Who will be nominee 2 times in a row and lose 2 times in a row. So she warns or threatens Mitch McConnell, but as always, doesn't really explain what will take place if there are no witnesses, which there won't be initially. There will not be witnesses initially. Even Susan Collins agreed with this. They have to eventually vote on witnesses after both sides give their case. So they have nothing. They have absolutely, positively nothing. Absolutely nothing. They have absolutely, positively nothing. Nothing. There you go. There you go. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Let's get that to 20,000 subs. I mean, now it's just grandstanding, but she's on the clock. There's a timer. There's a countdown. Pelosi has to give. Pelosi must give the articles of impeachment before that time frame. Otherwise, they will just dismiss without a trial, which would be fantastic. I mean, they should just do that already outright. The resolution should have been like 20 days, but then she would have given the articles. Give me your thoughts below. Guess who has to stay in Washington? Oh, that's right, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has to stay in Washington. So he's not going to campaign in Iowa. If he doesn't win Iowa, he's zero chance. Well, first of all, Clinton will become nominee, but theoretically, he has to win Iowa and New Hampshire. Pete Buttigieg could win Iowa. Okay? If Bernie doesn't win Iowa, then, he has zero support in the South. But the point is, why do you think, what's another reason Pelosi kept the articles of impeachment? Oh, that's right, to cheat Bernie Sanders overtly. Just like President Obama today, for this third time, I think it's literally the third time he stated that Bernie can't win, and that he would be against Bernie being the nominee, which is all for Clinton. Clinton runs a political machine. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you.